All right, folks, welcome back to Talkin' Soccer. I'm your host, Justin Horniger, and we are going to run down the U.S. men's final group stage match of the Gold Cup as they wrap up first place on goal differential over Jamaica with their 6-0 win over Trinidad and Tobago today. It was a fantastic performance. I mean, there's nothing really more that you can say in terms of deep diving this performance and nitpick. There isn't a lot to nitpick here. They took care of business. And of course, Jesus Ferreira with his hat trick in the first half, and then a trio of much needed goals in the second half as well for the individuals that scored them. We'll go into that in a bit. But again, it's another fun roster from BJ Callahan with the players that are in this group. It's another thing where, I don't think that this is the most talented group in the Gold Cup. I think Jamaica, I think Mexico probably has more just talent with these rosters. But for a rotated squad, they can still get the job done. And Jesus Ferreira, for as much grief as he gets for his World Cup performance, I remember a time when it wasn't a given that the U.S. program would take care of business against the Trinidad and Tobago, against the St. Kitts and Nevis, against, insert your Central American, your Caribbean opponent here. And it wasn't always a given that the U.S. walks away with a result from that. So for the baseline to be a 6-0 win with Jesus Ferreira getting back-to-back hat tricks, you have to be happy about that. So Jesus Ferreira has now scored 13 goals in his U.S. men's national team career, with 12 of those coming against island nations, Grenada, St. Kitts, and Trinidad and Tobago. St. Kitts and Nevis, of course. I don't want to leave those out. Don't want to leave those territories out. I would never do that. And 1 goal coming against Mexico. So some awesome stat padding, but you have to play what's in front of you. You have to score against who you're playing. And if you can take advantages of less structured defenses because of your movement, because of how you can run in behind things, I think that just speaks to the certain type of skill that you have. Because even when Jesus Ferreira is at his best, it's not necessarily his goal scoring that you need from him. It's his movements, his ability to play 1-2s and interplays, and just that he hustles and wins balls, and he's a nuisance to play against. And in games he's not scoring, he's still doing critical things for the offense. Of course, he's had some ghastly performances in the past, but if you watch him, in MLS and for the most part with the U.S. men's national team, that's what you notice. It's those kind of sleek movements that he has, and he takes care of business in this one. So he gets 3 first half goals, and U.S. go into the half up 3-0. Some halftime adjustments from the starting lineup. Miles Robinson is replaced with Matt Miazga. I'm not sure at this point in time if that's a sub related to him being on a men's restriction, which I'm sure he was coming off of his injury, or if he re-aggravated his injury. I haven't heard if it was a planned substitution or not. I'm assuming it was, but we'll have to kind of wait until after the press conference to know all of that. But if I were to, break down these player grades, of course, Ferreira, A+. Gianluca Buzio, also an A+ for me. I think he was one of the players of the match with Ferreira and Turner, I guess, for his clean sheet, but he didn't face much action. Gianluca Buzio, of course, coming back to his home state, gets the first goal of the second half. So that's his first goal ever in his U.S., or he gets the second goal of the second half. That's his first goal ever in the U.S., which I definitely thought he had scored before, but he hadn't. So that's big for him. Another first goal. The fourth goal of the match comes from Cade Cowell, who I thought this was interesting because this was kind of the U.S.'s modus operandi for most of this match, is that instead of pressing hard, they would step back into the passing channels and kind of force Trinidad's center backs and fullbacks to make a play on the ball, and they struggle with that. So Cade Cowell's goal comes after a miscommunication between the left back and the center back, and he just is able to run onto it before it gets back to the goalkeeper. He then goes and makes the goalkeeper bite on a move and go down as he tries to dribble the goalkeeper. The defender that was covering him initially comes back and catches up, and he drops him to the ground. And then he finally puts it in the back of the net. And it was one of those where he just kind of danced through people that you sometimes expect to not go in. But Cade Cowell, the 19-year-old, gets his first goal. Speaking of teenagers, Jalen Neal was also fantastic in this match. You wouldn't necessarily know that he was a 19-year-old kind of covering at this point. He is going to be a very good center back in the future. So I'm very happy that we got to see a lot of him this tournament so far. I thought Cade Cowell, with that goal, I thought he also had a fantastic performance, that he was so ready. He subbed in. He was so ready to be on the ball. And then he also had a couple good opportunities and an assist on the last goal. So he was just on one today. The only real bad performances I had were, and not even bad, but like C-level performances, were Roldan and Zendejas. I thought that they maybe tried to overcomplicate things a little bit first half, but I thought that Sands and Jordi Mihalovic both had good matches. Even though they didn't necessarily stand out, they still had good performances. And then Gressel and Vasquez, when they came into the match, I don't know if I can call them good performances because they played about 10 minutes as late subs, but Vasquez scores a goal, his second of the Gold Cup, and now he's, of course, playing out the rest of the tournament, but he's going to go back to Cincinnati with a bit of a goal-scoring touch and finding his goals again, and I think that is a dangerous proposition for the Eastern Conference of Major League Soccer, but that's not something you have to worry about now, because Cincinnati have been playing very good, and Vasquez only has 4 goals on the year. But that's kind of my thoughts on the players. You know, again, Turner didn't have a ton of work, but, you know, Matt Turner always looks fine, always looks competent. And even when he was called upon, he did the job and ends with a clean sheet. So nothing you could really nitpick there. DeJuan Jones also had a fantastic match. Ryan Reynolds, both fullbacks, were very crucial opening up Trinidad and Tobago, and they really could not deal with the speed of the attack just in general. That was a lot of the chances that came off of just the sheer quickness of this roster. So if anything, that was a good choice with this roster selection. It's just the amount of speed there is, especially with the lineup that started tonight. But overall, that was enough to put them into first place, to put them on top of the group. Jamaica won 5. So by points differential, US wins the group and is moving on to the knockout rounds. I think that it's very much a possibility that you see Jamaica and the US meet up again. Jamaica is probably the most talented team in the tournament right now, given the rosters. So, you know, for the US, it is a rotated squad. They can't look past anyone, but looking at how Canada has performed with this squad, there's a chance that they will make it out. But they're, you know, sitting in third place going into the last match. And I don't have a lot of faith in them at that point to be able to pull that off in terms of like making it to the final. I think that they may stumble. They've had a lot of difficulties, and John Herman's job won't be questioned, but I think there's some questions around just the execution. They have a rotated squad as well, so there are some caveats in that Eustachio isn't there and Jonathan David isn't there, but still, to be in the position going into the final match day of the Gold Cup where, you know, it's a question if you're going to make it out or not, that Canada was supposed to be past that at this point. So there's a lot of questions to be made there. I made a short about it on this channel a couple days ago, if you want to kind of look into the stats a little bit more. But as far as that goes, I'm excited for the rest of this tournament. I think it's going to be a fun one. Panama is also looked very good. I like kind of playing some free-flowing soccer, so it'll be interesting to see what the Final Four of this tournament looks like. We have a lot of change going on in the region, in the CONCACAF region. So, folks, thank you so much for watching, for coming to the channel. If this is your first time on Talking Soccer, please subscribe. Leave me a comment below on, you know, what you thought of this U.S. performance, what you think is going to happen as the Gold Cup marches on. give me a thumbs up. As always, you can find me in other places too. The Talking Soccer Substack has also been rolling, so it's just talkingsoccer.substack.com. It'll be in the description of this video. Like always, you can find me on Twitter at HornikerJustin if that hell site is still alive by the time you're reading this. And then we are also on Instagram and TikTok at Talking Soccer. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a great night, and we'll talk very soon.